Here's why I'm still maintaining the idea of 10 cents for ZBCN during this bull run, hypothetically still in my mind, even though nothing I say is financial advice. Now, the reason for that is because when I take a look at something like Zebec, I get it. As of right now, the attention isn't the best when it comes to it. The price of ZBCN having a pretty big pullback, not to mention the altcoin space definitely not doing good as of right now, generally speaking. Bitcoin's holding up pretty strong, but altcoins aren't really doing that good. But in my opinion, actually, when I take a look at what's actually going on just within the space, I think things are actually looking very bullish for altcoins because we have to take a look at the number of institutional investors, the amount of enterprise adoption, just when it comes to this space overall. Not to mention, I think people now are more knowledgeable when it comes to altcoins and just kind of understanding what they're all about beyond like what we saw back in 2021 or even the cycle before that, when I feel like a lot of these altcoins, people didn't really pay attention to the fundamentals. They just thought it was cool, and that was pretty much it, generally speaking. But I feel like as of right now, it's a different case. People actually know about projects like Zebec, which feels like a miniature version of Ripple and Stellar, but then I think with way more, layers to it, like for instance, AI-based PayFi, also on top of that, RWAs, right? Focus on that, payrolls. I mean, this is how amazing Zebec is. I just think it's like a miniature version of that, but with way more layers. So it's a no-brainer for me because if, let's say, altcoins do really wake up in a massive way and the market starts doing very good, I feel like something like ZBCN could, in theory, really go along with the ride because I feel now that ZBCN has validation. Back then, it didn't have validation because it had that pump and, of course, a pullback. Now, it's kind of solidified itself as one of these premier projects within the space of global trade and finance and the payments market. So the way I view it is that when it comes to Zebec, the pump wasn't a bad thing. Some people think, oh, it pumped and had a pullback, it's a bad thing. No, I disagree. I think that, if anything, gave ZBCN validation. I didn't sell ZBCN, and of course, my holdings are worse than not too long ago, but then it's still way better than when I first started acquiring ZBCN. So I can't really complain that much when it comes to Zebec because I feel like it's really proven itself as being something that is, gaining somewhat attention. And it did so really without the market doing that good when it comes to altcoins. Take a look at when ZBCN pumped. It's not like a bunch of altcoins also kind of did something like that. That really wasn't the case, generally speaking. So I feel like ZBCN did something very impressive. Even without that much action, imagine what would happen if there was more action. And also, something that I think could be so massive for the future of Zebec is the fact that one of its alleged early investors actually recently got listed, right? It's publicly traded now, allegedly. Take a look at something like Circle, the creator of USDC. That recently went public, right? And if Circle quite essentially believes in something like Zebec, and now Circle has more validation because, of course, it is listed, so I'm assuming probably it's viewed as in a higher regard now than before. And I think if people take a look at what was Circle actually allegedly invested in something like Zebec, that could also potentially bring some sort of narrative to ZBCN if the markets do really pick up again, and also if altcoins really do gain that sort of good attention. Not to mention Solana. Solana Ventures is one of the early investors when it comes to Zebec, also allegedly. Could you imagine? When it comes to something like Solana Ventures, we have to assume that really when they want to believe in something, they do a lot of due diligence. Not to mention ZBCN, not too long ago, was considered top 10 in terms of utility on Solana. So in my opinion, this has kind of proven itself. And here's the thing. I saw a post on X not too long ago, and I actually talked about it in one of my previous videos. The post stated, and now this is from Zebec, by the way, they allege how when it comes to Circle, they're one of the significant holders or something like that to that statement, right, of ZBCN. So allegedly, they're holding a pretty big amount of ZBCN when it comes to Circle. And again, Circle just recently got listed, right? I don't think they're going to have a need or something like that to just randomly panic sell, if that makes sense. Like, it just wouldn't make sense. If anything, Circle is heading in a good direction. You know what I mean? It's not heading in a bad direction. It would be different if it was listed and then it got delisted and then they're holding a significant amount of ZBCN and it's causing a lot of, uncertainty. That's a different case, but it's actually the opposite of that, right? Circle's actually doing better, in my opinion. So then, why would I not be bullish when it comes to Zebec? Why would I think that 10 cents is not my price target? And here's the thing. even as a worst case scenario, historically speaking, altcoins, allegedly, they're not even supposed to peak right now. And let me explain why. Because altcoins, as a worst case scenario, they usually peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event. We haven't even been 18 months removed from the last Bitcoin halving event. The last one happened in April of last year. So we add 18 months on top of that. That's around October this year. So we haven't even maybe are supposed to see a fully fledged type of altcoin season as a worst case scenario yet. But this is based off history. But the thing is, that's the only thing I can take a look at because I can't take a look into the future. So then, why would I think altcoins are over? I think the factors when it comes to the crypto space more specifically, I think are just more bullish than before. And again, all I gotta do right now is stay patient and just wait, that's it. Because the markets are gonna pick up when they want to. I can't control that. I can only control myself. And the way I view it as well is that when it comes to something like Zebec, the amazing thing about it is that ZBCN has pretty good exchange listings, right? It's not the best, but it's pretty decent. So I kind of feel like, why would I give up on this as of right now? It makes no sense to me. If I made it this far, I made it this long, it would make no sense for me to give up. This is just the way I view it. Imagine, right? Currently, as we speak, we have over 600 million crypto owners, according to Crypto.com research at least. This is more than ever before in history, literally, allegedly again. Back in the peak of the 2021 bull run, around 300 million crypto owners. Very impressive at that time. But now we have way more. And again, we have this much right now. Imagine if, let's say, Bitcoin goes to 200,000. Let's say altcoins, we see a very good altcoin recovery. Are we saying there's only going to be around 600 million crypto owners, or would there be 700 million maybe at that point? Or let's say Bitcoin goes to 250 or 300 grand. Would there be only that much, or would there be around 800 million? You know what I mean? Given the trajectory that I've seen in the past, I don't see why there wouldn't be maybe more crypto owners. Not to mention as well, some people like to say, oh, if let's say things do maybe hypothetically peak in October, they think, oh, it's not enough time and all this type of stuff. Well, here's the thing. We're not talking about the S&P 500 here. We're talking about, especially in this case, altcoins. Take a look at how fast ZBCN, rose, right? Not too long ago. And that happened very quickly without a fully fledged type of altcoin season. It kind of did it out of nowhere, really. Even Bitcoin, take a look at how fast it rose in such a relatively short amount of time. It's not like that most recent recovery when it comes to Bitcoin took like 10 years. You know what I mean? So then the way I view it is that I don't think it's too short of a time frame. I'm still going to stay patient because if ZBCN were to go to the price of 10 cents, considering current circulating supply market cap at that point would be around $8 billion. Again, around the 24x like I mentioned earlier in the video. Keep in mind, XRP currently has a market cap that is well beyond $100 billion. And I think we can all agree that altcoins are not doing the best. If XRP is already doing that right now, what would it do during a fully fledged type of altcoin season? I don't think this is too much to ask for. But again, only time will tell. And that's why I still have the idea of maybe ZBCN going to the price of 10 cents during this bull run. But again, only time will tell. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.